In this video, I'm going to show you the simpler of the two options for the Abecedarians. We're going to be doing the Statue of Liberty upside down, and one of the options has these little gray dots that show some of these starting and stopping points. So this one is for students who need more structure, like the 4 and 5-year-olds who could use some more guidelines as they draw some difficult images. There's another image in the lesson plan that doesn't have the gray dots. It's also pretty simple. So you have an option no matter kind of the age students of your class. Just pick what you think would be best for your particular students. When we do this lesson, we want to have everything prepared before we get into class. You want to have your image taped together and somewhere on the board before the students come in. You can see that my image is actually 2 pieces of paper taped together. I wanted to make it so that the students could see the image from far away. So to do that, you just print it out, cut off that extra strip between the two, line it up as best you can and tape it together so you have a nice big paper to put in front of the class. Since we can still see that when it's upside down, it's the Statue of Liberty, we need to cover it. We only want to see one section at a time. There's a few ways you can do that. You can take some construction paper and simply tape it together and then have that taped over your picture. You can also use a file folder, so you can see you can take something like this, cut off the top of it so it's straight, then have that over the top. The only problem with that is that sometimes it can be a little bit easy to see through and see the image. We don't want the students to be able to peek to see what we're doing. So my favorite option is to use a hanging file folder. The top is already straight and it's really, really nice and thick, so no image is going to be showing through that. So you want to have this all covered up when you set up your supplies in the morning. And I'm going to use painter's tape because that's really easy to stick and unstick as we move this paper down. That's ready to go. Now each student is also going to have some sort of printout. This one again has the gray dots on it that correspond to the image I have up. There's also a second option that does not have the gray dots, just the dotted lines across. As you pass out the paper, make sure that it's upside down like this because we want to make sure that they're not seeing any clues as to what we're drawing. So they might be able to recognize kind of a figure shape. So each student will get their paper upside down, and they're going to be drawing what we see on their paper as we uncover it behind here. Before you get started, we want to review what we learned in week 1 with the oils, which is to study what we see really, really well, to go really slowly and be as accurate as possible. So in this picture, we're going to find curved lines and straight lines and dots and all sorts of things, just like we found in the oils. And we're going to connect that vocabulary with our upside down drawing this week. To get started, you're going to uncover just one section at a time. And on the paper is these dotted lines. So you can just bring down your cover, line it up with the dotted lines. And now we just have a little bit of the picture to look at. So it breaks it into much more manageable sections. You're going to be up in the front talking to the students through what they see. So having a conversation about the lines and the shapes that we see. And they're going to be drawing it here on their picture. Now obviously these dots help out a ton. So the students will be able to know where to stop and start as you can walk around and help individuals. But they can all kind of get started at that same place without you having to go to each one at the same time. So I would ask my students, let's start with this line here. Can someone describe that line to me? And they might say something like it curves in and then it goes down. Yeah, that's right. So I will go ahead and study that line with my students. Then I'll tell them to go ahead and draw it on their paper. So they should do something similar to this. It curves down and goes down to that dot. If you want to, you can be drawing like this up in front of the class so they can see what you're doing. But really what you want them to do is to study this and not study your drawing. So if you think this is beneficial to do it for them in front, do it like that. If not, talk it through and then walk around and help them individually. And then after they do that line, you can talk through the next line. What kind of line is this? It's a straight line and it goes up at the end. Yeah. So I'll start at my dot, which is my easy way to know where to go. And I'll go across and I'll go up at the end. This one is not perfectly straight. Can they see the curve? Hopefully they can describe that it curves in a little bit and arrives at that dot. So we're always talking as a group, talking about what we see, if we can use the oils words to describe the lines that we see. This one is straight. It's pretty close to this side. How close? Maybe the width of their finger. They have pretty small hands, so they can try and gauge how wide that is and come down like that. Now we get to go to the next section. Each section should take about 3 to 5 minutes. Obviously for an adult, it's going to be much more quicker, but for your young kids, this might take a whole 3 to 5 minutes, especially as you walk around and help kids. That's going to add some more time. So I'll come down and now tape this down so that my next section is showing. I have more dots to help us along the way. I'll point here and say, what does the line do now? It goes and it curves in a little bit. Does it come all the way down to my next dotted line? It's about halfway up. So I'll go and have the students recreate that one single line. It curves in a little bit and stops halfway between these 2 points. And you simply walk through having them describe what they see and drawing it on their paper. So I'll go ahead and finish this. I see a curved line that comes down to the dot. I see a long kind of snake that goes across. It doesn't touch this one, it's a little bit of a gap. So I will come across and do that. And then I also have one that starts here and it goes down, it curves in, kind of in the center. So I'll come and curve in. So you get the idea that we can talk about each shape that we see, we can talk about where it begins and it ends, and help the students start to decipher what they see in front of them. As you go down lower, the sections will get a little bit more difficult. So this one might take 4 minutes, this one might take a little bit longer, and then the last one might even take longer. So you can go down section by section, talking them through what they see. And you can also ask them partway through, what do you think we're drawing? And it's really fun for them to guess and try and figure out what we're drawing today. And if they don't know it's upside down, it's even more confusing as to what it is, right? Once you're done with that, and if you have some extra time, you can always give the students some colored pencils to fill it in with color, or you can have a book about the Statue of Liberty or a little bit of information to fill in the extra few minutes at the end.